Coming up on 5 Minute News. Pompeo promises a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. White House moves Trump loyalists into key Pentagon jobs. And New Delhi's air quality at worst levels this year. It's Wednesday, November 11. I'm Anthony Davis. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is insisting that the US election has not been decided. He also predicted that Donald Trump will prevail, backing the president's reluctance to begin the transition to President-elect Joe Biden's administration. There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration, Pompeo said during a briefing yesterday. The secretary was replying to a reporter's question about whether the State Department is preparing to work with the Biden transition team and whether a delay could raise a potential national security risk or hinder a smooth transfer of power. Pompeo did not respond directly to that question, implying instead that a transition won't be needed. The world is watching what's taking place. We're going to count all the votes, Pompeo said, a seeming reference to Trump's baseless claims of widespread voter fraud. When the process is complete, there will be electors selected, Pompeo said. There's a process. The Constitution lays it out pretty clearly. Joe Biden has been declared to have captured more than enough electoral votes to win the presidency, with significant leads in key states such as Pennsylvania and Michigan. But Trump is trying to challenge the results with lawsuits, most of which have failed due to lack of evidence. Yesterday it was reported by the Washington Post that a Pennsylvania postal worker, whose claims have been cited by top Republicans as potential evidence of widespread voting irregularities, admitted to U.S. Postal Service investigators that he fabricated the allegations in return for a large payment. When asked about the allegations of election fraud, Pompeo noted the prolonged uncertainty and legal battle over the 2000 election, stating it didn't prevent a successful transition. A day after Donald Trump fired his defense secretary, the White House installed a Trump loyalist in a key Pentagon post on Tuesday and promoted another one who has falsely called former President Barack Obama a terrorist. Trump announced his dismissal of Defense Secretary Mark Esper on Twitter on Monday, signaling he may use his final months in office to settle scores within his administration. But the further reshuffling at the Pentagon is raising concern among Democrats about whether U.S. national security policy may become unsettled. It could also potentially make it easier for Trump to execute policies that Esper had opposed, such as deploying active-duty troops to suppress street protests in the United States. Trump's move sent a dangerous message to America's adversaries and dimmed hopes for an orderly transition as Democratic President-elect Joe Biden prepares to take office. Esper was replaced by Christopher Miller, who had been the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. The Pentagon said Kash Patel, who was the top counterterrorism advisor on the White House National Security Council, would be Miller's chief of staff. Patel worked as a top aide to Representative Devin Nunes, the pro-Trump Republican who chaired the House Intelligence Committee. In the wake of Esper's departure, the Pentagon's top policy advisor resigned, allowing that post to be filled by Anthony Tatter, a retired Army brigadier general who has called Obama a terrorist leader. The reshuffle raises the possibility that Trump will try to make good on still unfilled campaign pledges before January 20th, when Biden takes office. Those include potentially ordering a full withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan. Critics say Trump is planning some kind of coup, denying the results of the election and doing whatever he can to remain in power, with Trump loyalists placed at the top of all major departments of government, including the DOJ, FBI, and Department of Defense. Attorney General William Barr's decision to have the Department of Justice probe any substantial allegations of voter fraud has triggered a wave of backlash that he is seeking to breathe life into Donald Trump's unfounded claims of a stolen election. In a carefully worded memo, the Attorney General authorized federal prosecutors to take investigative steps on specific instances of abuse prior to the certification of elections in their respective jurisdictions. Under Barr's memo, U.S. attorneys are now able to bypass a career prosecutor to take more covert investigative steps. Previously, they had to get permission from the career prosecutor in the department's criminal division. Air quality in India's capital deteriorated to its worst this year on Tuesday, prompting a social media barrage of residents complaining about stinging eyes, sore throat and breathlessness in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. Delhi's overall air quality index, which measures pollutants including PM2.5 particles, rose to 488, its highest level in a year, according to government data. That was up from 477 on a scale of 500 on Monday. The data showed the deadly particulate matter, which can cause cardiovascular and respiratory diseases such as lung cancer, also reached its highest levels since November last year and stood 30 times over the World Health Organization's safe limit. It comes as Delhi, suffering a third wave of coronavirus infections, is facing one of the worst spells of pollution in years, partly due to crop waste fires in neighbouring states and local emissions from vehicle exhausts. About 85% of households in Delhi had at least one person complaining of difficulty in breathing, among other symptoms. Pollution in New Delhi had almost disappeared earlier this year when the government imposed a nationwide lockdown to contain the coronavirus, but has returned since the government began lifting restrictions at the end of August. You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Please subscribe, rate and review us at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an independent production covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering unbiased, verified and truthful world news daily.